Hey everyone, welcome back to another segment here on the J&J Talk Show. I am Justin, and I hope everyone is having a good week or enjoying yourself this fine Tuesday, September 21 edition of the J&J Talk Show. Um, and just like the last few weeks, we're going to go ahead and come back in and revisit the road to October baseball. I know that there is a handful of things that could be talked about, a lot of different conversations, but I'm going to keep it the same going into every week, at least for now, until baseball season's done with. And then we can go ahead and get into another topic. MLB starting up here in a few weeks, so as well as NHL. So if you guys like to see and review those contents, I'm going to be honest with you. Those aren't my favorite subjects to talk about, just because I'm not well educated into them. But if that's something that you guys want to also for me to cover throughout the week, just let me know and I'll do my best. But you know what? Listen, we are officially 13 days away for the rest of the MLB season. As we go into the ball games on today, Tuesday, 13 games are left to be, 13 days, not games, days are left to be played throughout the week. If you take the rest of this week, you go into next week. And so it's really right around the corner. I know 2 weeks can seem like a long time, but it's not. It's going to happen here right before your eyes. And so we're going to, as we break down 2 weeks to go, the MLB race to the postseason can't be any more exciting as we approach these next 2 weeks, and it can't be more from true. I mean, you got teams clinching already. Divisions haven't been clinched yet as 2 weeks approach. I mean, we look into it. I mean, the Giants has, had the best record in baseball with 97 wins, but yet again, they have not clinched their division yet because they have those little pin needles Dodgers right behind them with 96 wins. Same thing over in the American League. You think 93 wins for the Tampa Bay White Rays will clinch a division. Well, you still have the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox right behind you in the discussion of not only the wild card but the division as well. So a lot of things going on. Wild cards going crazy. As we get a better idea, we went over last week of games that were going to be impactful, and we saw results based off of those games throughout the week. We'll quickly go over the American League, the National League, what the playoff race looks like at this moment as of today, and then games that you probably should be tuning into as well. Just a quick idea of what this week is going to look like. I do not know if I'm going to put something up for tomorrow's episode. I'm thinking about something, but I'm not quite sure yet. I'm also, well, you could tune into us on Thursday morning for sure, as we cover another week of NFL. I do have those picks up, NFL Week 3 up on Facebook on the JJ Talk Show Facebook page. Head over there, follow the page, and then also you can go ahead and sit there and find the Week 3, post it up. We will also not only go over the NFL games for Week 3 coming up on Thursday, but we will also go ahead and recap how we did last week as well. So play along with us. So we encourage you to play along. Comment, down below the teams you think are going to win next week. And then we will go ahead and what you need to know coming into on Friday, what you need to go know for the weekend. So we do have some episodes scheduled for you coming up here later on this week. But right now it is time for baseball. I do want to take this moment because some stuff has been made, some history has been made over the past over actually last 24 hours, and as of Monday's game, I want to give a quick shout out to John Lester, for a pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals, who picked up his 200th win last night in the victory over the Milwaukee Brewers. I know it's been an impactful moment for him last night. So congratulations. You think of John Lester, I think of him with the days with the Chicago Cubs. And I know he hasn't had the best record, the best season during the season and outside the season. But he's still something he's contributed in a lot of big games for a lot of players, or for a lot of franchises and organizations. So John Lester picking up his 200th win last night over the Brewers. So congratulations to him. And then we have to acknowledge someone who made a big milestone history changing last night as well, and that is Salvador Perez, surpassing Johnny's bench with the most home runs in a season by a primary catcher on Monday's game against the Indians. So congratulations to to Salvador Perez. I think he hit his 47th home run, the most in one season as a starting catcher. So he's been off to doing great things this year so far, and it's unfortunate that the Kansas City Royals are not in a postseason position. So, but listen, at least the Royals could walk away with something positive to talk about this season. Jumping right into things, we want to look at I've expressed over and over and over again the importance and this amount of games that are left to be played, and that still cannot be as much true as the next. And as we look through, as if the playoff stands today, okay, each division, we're going to start off with the American League, but the AL looks like this as of today. The Tampa Bay Rays sit at 91-58 on the season. Houston Astros sit at 89-61, and the Chicago White Sox sit at 85-65. If you're looking for the two wild card teams, currently as of today, it would be the Boston Red Sox as the number one spot at 86-65. And then the Toronto Blue Jays with 84-66. So it's interesting to me, as well as, it is a little surprising to see that no teams with 13 days left in the season has clinched in the American League. National League's completely different story, and we'll get to them in a moment. But as far as the American League goes, no team has clinched quite yet. The Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Yankees still have within games that they can override the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, Oakland is creeping up on Houston. We're going to get into that in a moment. The White Sox has not clinched yet. And although there's no teams looking to overcome the White Sox, I don't think. I mean, the Indians with 73 wins, so they're on the verge. The White Sox are on the verge, hopefully by the next by the end of this week, as a matter of fact, to clinch a postseason spot, if not the division alone. That would be nice. But there's still 7 games on the West within the Houston Astros and the Oakland A's. 8 games if you want to include Seattle. Boston or Toronto or Tampa Bay has 7 games also, 8.5, 9 games with Boston, Toronto, and New York right behind them. So we're looking to start clinching divisions by the end of this week. At least in the American League, at least one team. It'd be nice. At least one team clinches in the American League this week. But if the playoff looks right now, it would be Boston hosting the Toronto Blue Jays, with the winner of that game going to Tampa Bay. and then Houston hosting the Chicago White Sox. So far, it looks like the pitcher running right now looks like the American League East is going to do battle. And the American League East is going to advance to the conference games and will face the winner of Houston or Chicago. I'm not surprised about Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has kind of been in the postseason run for the last several years. They've gotten better, even though you look at their trade and their track record, they've sat there and they have apologize about the delay. But consider Tampa Bay and who they got rid of over the last several years. Look at Tampa Bay and who also they gained the last several years. I remember just a year ago, they made several trades with the San Diego Padres, sending Blake Snell over, Tommy Pham over, and then you had Hunter Renfroe, who is now with the Red Sox, went over to Tampa Bay. Manuel Margot, now with Tampa Bay, who's been performing a lot better as a Rays than the Padres. So, I acknowledge his career, and I appreciate, I like what he's coming across. But Tampa Bay has kind of been in that picture, on and off throughout the last several years. Houston Astros have been has been obviously the dominant of the decade in the American League for the most part every single year. We weren't surprised to see the Chicago White Sox be in it. We knew just how good they were last year, and then to be able to maintain it this year. I don't know if that's because the Central has kind of died down right now. But it's also refreshing to see new teams make their approach. To see the Rays, I'm not tired of the Rays. I'm a little tired of the Astros to see them each and every year, just like I'm tired of the Dodgers. But the White Sox is also very impressive as of right now. We look into the wild card standings here as of today. Like I said, if it was ending today, Boston will be hosting the Blue Jays. Boston has a game and a half above the Toronto Blue Jays that hold the 2 wild card spots at this moment. The New York Yankees follow behind the Blue Jays with 84 and 67 so far in the season, with a half a game out. And right now, the AL wild card's been talked with the AL East. You got Boston, Toronto, New York, all fighting within a game, or 2 games now, within each other to make a postseason run. Well, you can't forget about the back end of this wild card stretch, because Oakland sits at 82 and 68. Yes, that was a typo there on my screen here. So let me just correct that so I don't get dinged for that. Listen, you look at the AL wild card. Okay, I mean, Oakland is 82 and 68. Seattle's 81 and 69. They're 3 games back. And so, I mean, just a week's worth of action. I mean, we saw this, Toronto took the lead last week. Boston took the lead 2 weeks ago. They go back and forth. And now you can see once again another action, with Oakland. I mean, by the end of this week, possibility Oakland and Seattle could be up in front. We just never know. And that's what makes this wild card series so amazing. I mean, you take a look at the NL, which we'll get to in a minute, but the Dodgers have a comfortable 16-game lead. That they've already clinched at least a playoff berth. But now you look in the American League, you got 5 teams now battling that all 5 teams even have a chance at their division, even though the season's winding down. So with 13 games left, every game is crucial. So, as I go over later on here in this segment, as the games go on throughout the week, what games should you pay attention to, what highlight games are looking for, just know that every game is crucial, especially the division games, especially the teams that are leading um, the American League and the National League, because there's nobody that has clinched a division yet. So, Oakland and Seattle earlier this month had multiple opportunities. I don't know if they captured their opportunities as well, but they're still in a primary situation to a wild card spot. So over the next 13 days, this will develop. And if we start breaking news, don't be alarmed if I come back on and do other segments throughout the week covering simple subjects like, okay, congratulations to so-and-so team for clinching a division or for clinching a wild card spot. So a lot of stuff going on in the American League. 5 teams in it for the wild card. Those 5 teams still have an opportunity for the division, and then there's no division that has been captured yet. Over now into the National League. We have, which is a different story, because we have, although we don't have any teams clinching the division, 3 teams have clinched a playoff berth. Currently, right now, if the season ended today and you looked at things, the San Francisco Giants will hold the best record in baseball and the best record in the National League with 97-53. They clinched their playoff berth about 2 weeks ago. They were the first team. The Milwaukee Brewers, who recently just clinched their playoff berth this past weekend with 91 wins, 59 losses, and the Atlanta Braves, who are still in the hunt for a postseason run, with 78-70. The 2 wildcard teams, obviously the Dodgers, and then currently right now the standings, who took reigns over this past week, was the St. Louis Cardinals, and they've been on a phenomenal run. 8-2, 9-1 over the last 10 games. They've accomplished games like beating they started off winning, beating the Milwaukee Brewers last night as they head into that series. They swept the San Diego Padres, who has really taken a downfall throughout this wild card stretch. And so they're really capitalizing and showing just what type of team they are at the end of September. And they say, hey, listen, we are worthy enough to be in the wild card against those Dodgers. And I mean, for somewhat, as much as I want like to see new teams, the Cardinals have not been in the postseason the last couple of years. They kind of squeezed their way last year, and it's not the same Cardinals team you saw 10 years ago. So I'm kind of excited to see if the Cardinals could uphold the Dodgers. I think I've said this multiple times. That second spot in the National League wild card is going to be the underdog throughout the entire playoff run, because whoever that second team is, whether it's the Cardinals, the Padres, the Reds, the Phillies, the teams that are in the hunt, whoever that team is, not only you have to overcome a dominant Dodgers team that is just unbelievably unfinanced with money and talent. I mean, there's so much wealth there. You also got to be able to and if you can't overcome the Dodgers, you got to overcome the Giants. And then by the time you get done with the Giants series, and if you can overcome the Giants, you got to face either the Brewers or the Cardinals or the Braves. So, who probably didn't have much effort into getting to the postseason as you did. So, not only teams are going to tire themselves out to face the Dodgers, teams are going to tire themselves out to beat the Dodgers and face the Giants. And then if you could get to that Milwaukee or Atlanta game, series, it's going to be, just imagine where your fatigue is at this time. And then just imagine if, it's just the imagination of, okay, if the Cardinals could beat the Dodgers and Giants, and then they face the Brewers in the conference final, and then they beat them to go to the World Series. I mean, that's just kind of something special, at least on my behalf. But this division, this league is nothing but easy. It's nothing. I mean, the AL is difficult than on the old ways. I feel like there's a lot of teams in the American League though that are kind of playing more average baseball. I mean, you see the Tampa Bay Rays with the best record in the American League at 91, but I mean, Houston, Chicago, all within 80, within 10 games of them. So it's not like there's been a large gap worth compared to, you think of it, there's 16 games between the Dodgers and the Cardinals. There's 18 games between the Giants and the Cardinals. I mean, and they've had to do something throughout the season that put them on a huge run. So if you look at the wild card today, obviously the Dodgers with 15 and a half games above already clinched their spot. So it's either going to be the Dodgers and Giants going to win the NL West. The winner of the NL West will be the first team in the wild card hosting whoever is the second team. Currently, that second team is the St. Louis Cardinals, 80-69. Obviously, they're looking to be above 500. Cincinnati with 3 games behind, 78-73. The Padres, 76-73, 4 games out. And 4.5 games out is the Phillies, who they're trying to creep up. I don't know if the Phillies, the Padres have really took a downfall over the last 2 weeks, ever since late September. And you start to feel that, okay, maybe 162 games is a lot this year with injuries, with fatigue, with, people getting upset with each other after we heard, I don't know if you saw the highlight news between Machado and Tatis going at it in the dugout in St. Louis this past weekend. But there's a lot going on in San Diego, and there's a lot going on in Cincinnati too. I mean, they didn't play well against Pittsburgh last week, which was a crucial point of their season to start playing well. And then they came over to LA. They came home to face LA. They got off to a great start, but at the same time, then they kind of died down, and then the Dodgers prevailed the series over them. Now, we knew that was going to happen. Now we go back and we, face Pittsburgh. Now we got to beat Pittsburgh. We got 5 more games with them. You got Chicago. I don't know who else you got this rest of the season, but with 4 more series left, every game is crucial, right? But, take a look at where the Reds have been. And I know I've alliterated this already before on a previous segment, but, the Reds have also been in a position where they didn't have half of their players performing at the beginning of the season. Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo, and, Mike Moustakas getting hurt, Joey Votto getting hurt. And you have to just imagine, those performances, and those losses in the early beginning of the season is affecting the team right now. Just imagine if everyone was performing the way that they should have been performing. Just imagine if the Reds could have actually obtained the series over the Pirates. See, the Pirates are doing what they want to do, and they want to knock out the Reds, eliminate the Reds from the playoff. If they could eliminate the Reds from the playoffs, then they've done their job. Right now, it's kind of scary in the postseason. I mean, the Phillies are kind of looking into maybe making themselves a final stretch, a final run. But I don't know if they have enough time to catch up to the Cardinals, which therefore then you ask, okay, you sit at 80, you sit at 76 wins. You're to only 2 games compared to being 4.5 games back from the Cardinals with less than 2 weeks left. You're only 2 games away from the Braves. So can you maybe try to find that stretch to face the Braves and to overcome the Braves? So I don't know if the Phillies have a different approach. But right now, these are teams within 5 games with 13 days left of the regular season. This stretch is still far from over. And every game now is going to be it has to be acted like a postseason game. If you're not having postseason game worthy matches now in teams that are contending, like the Reds and the Padres and the Cardinals, Right. Same thing goes for the American League. If Yankees and Red Sox, if the Toronto Blue Jays face the Rays and they're not having a postseason game worthy competition, then it's not. Then it's going to be easier to lose that game. Every pinch now counts here on out, especially if you're one of these teams looking to finalize a spot in the postseason. If you're in the National League, like I said, the fight just to get that second spot is a battle of itself. Once you get there, you got to overcome the Dodgers, and there's a whole nother obstacle course for you. So 13 days. Hopefully by the time we approach this segment next week, which will be next Tuesday, we will be able to have a better idea of what we're looking at. More, maybe actually teams clinching divisions. But stay tuned. I will be posting that up on Facebook as a clinch, and we'll let you guys know. So as we look into this week of baseball, we got several games just this week alone on the American side. You want to find something to watch on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you don't watch wrestling, if you don't watch football, obviously, with the Packers beating the Lions last night, you got a couple of days off between NFL again coming up on Thursday, as we'll cover that in another segment later on this week. But this week alone, just this week alone, in baseball, in the American League, you got Texas over in New York to face the Yankees. And it is important, the road could be a struggle. So with dealing with difficulties on the road, it is definitely important for teams like the Yankees. And the Yankees came out and said, I think earlier this week, at the beginning of the week, that there's no more room for error. And that is correct. Every team there is. It's not just for the Yankees. It's for every other team. I think it's worse for the Yankees considering that your other two teams that are currently leading the wild card spot is the Red Sox and the Blue Jays. But this week, the Yankees are hosting the Rangers, which it should be you should be able to capitalize on that. Capitalize on the victory, on who you're playing, and take the series. Let me put it this way. If the Yankees can't take the series from Texas, if the Yankees can't sweep Texas, pack up your bags and go home. That's said and done. Because now the Mets have an opportunity, and the Mets are well with the Yankees, and if their postseason looks like to be done, hey, let's cost Boston their chance. Boston is hosting the Mets to a series as well. And the Mets will like to do nothing more but to give their Yankees an opportunity, and that's where it starts. But yet again, the Mets are going to start focusing on next year. Toronto and Tampa Bay, let them do battle. You got the lead. You have the American League East division right now, with Tampa Bay leading. Toronto wants to make a statement. I mean, Tampa Bay, 90, as I mentioned, 93, 91 wins on the season. Let me just be telling you all the wrong information here. No, 93 wins. 93 wins for Tampa Bay. That puts the Blue Jays 8.5 games out. I mean, they still have a stretch to make that. I mean, if Toronto could come into Tampa Bay and take that series, that would help plead their cause. See, right now, New York wants the Mets to win and the Rays to win. But then that under game series that could make an impact, considering that they're only 2 games out. Seattle and Oakland. I know the Angels gave Oakland some tough times this past weekend. So it's going to be fascinating. Just be aware of Seattle and Oakland. That's the only division game other than Toronto and Tampa Bay to pay attention to. But that's a game that, a series, for Oakland, a series victory for Oakland and a bad performance from New York or Toronto can put them ahead. So we take a look this week over in the National League. You got the Giants over in San Diego. Don't forget the Padres have a 4-game series against the Braves because they got to make up a game from after the All-Star break. Pittsburgh's over in Cincinnati. We saw Cincinnati win yesterday, and St. Louis already beating Milwaukee, but St. Louis already beat Milwaukee last night, but St. Louis will face the Milwaukee Brewers once again this week. So exciting games. I will tune into probably Milwaukee and St. Louis, probably Tampa Bay and Toronto. Those are my 2 big games, but there's some options for you for the most part. Now we take a look into this weekend because this weekend is there's some key games. And I got only 3 games coming into this weekend, and I know that's not a lot of games. But I think you have a doubleheader on Friday with St. Louis and Chicago, and I still think that's going to be a key game here because St. Louis on the road that they're looking at, I think Cardinals and Cubs are always a great series to look at. And as we approach the last 2 weeks of the season, I know the Cubs are out of it, but just let's knock out the Cardinals, right? Anyone but the Cardinals in this instance. So Cardinals and Cubs, classic match for the weekend. Yankees and Red Sox, a classic match as well, but this is a wild card versus wild card spot. So this is a huge series for both teams, and even considering that it's now in Boston, it just makes it that much harder for the Yankees. Yankees don't have a break. They have to take on the Rangers and succeed, and now they're going to have to go to Boston and succeed in Boston this weekend if they want to even stay alive next week. So Yankees, I feel bad for you. If you guys do make it to the playoffs, it's not going to be a walk through the park. Houston over in Oakland as well. Like I said, with Houston at 78 wins and Houston at 89 wins, and then you also look at the Oakland with 82 wins. There is a gap, but that gap can be closed within this weekend with Oakland being home to Houston. So a lot of great games. These are just 3 key games coming up this weekend. If you have nothing, I know football's coming on, basketball's coming on here shortly. I want to say within the next couple of weeks for the preseason. So just things to kind of start picking at this week and what to watch out for. And these are 3 key games to watch out for. St. Louis could even clinch a playoff spot in the wild card with the depending how well they take on the Brewers and the Cubs. So a lot of things could happen. We're hoping by the end of this week. I'm actually very intrigued. I want to see stuff happen because I want to be able to come back on here at the end of this week and talk a little bit more about baseball because this is a fun and exciting time. But in order for that to happen, teams have to really step it up. So, but we will keep you involved. Hop over to the JJ Talk Show on Facebook, follow the page, and that's when you're going to get all the updates with me through baseball and who clinches. And like I said, if there's something big enough coming up, that happens this week, we'll come back on here on another live segment and give you some update information. We want to give a shout out once again to John Lester. So for winning his 200th game, career game last night against Milwaukee. And then I also want to give a shout out to Salvador Perez, a milestone standing with his 47th home run last night against the Cleveland Indians, surpassing Johnny Bench in the most home runs in a season by a primary catcher. So congratulations to those 2 guys. Like I said, I don't know what we're going to hold for tomorrow if we have anything, but I know Thursday we come back with you on the NFL. We'll cover all of that content. We have what to look at for the weekend on Friday, which is always exciting content. We'll take a look at NCAA football, baseball again, NFL games, all that stuff. And then also We'll probably have some segments over the weekend. I know we have the J&J Talk Show episode number 5 coming up here on Sunday night with my partner. And then what we're also planning on doing, depending on everything comes our way, is bring our guest Trey back on. And that we will also cover the fallout of Extreme Rules on Monday before Raw. So a lot of content coming up this week. Stay tuned with us. If you like to see something coming up, if I miss something, please let me know. If you like to see something coming up and like me to cover something, then please leave a comment down below. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on YouTube. Also, our channel is also now available on Spotify. So head over to Spotify at the J&J Talk Show. If you need help, reach out to me and I'll help you guys out. Other than that, my name is Justin. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Until next time, you guys have yourself a wonderful, wonderful day.